One of the questions that I have for you too.
Yeah.
Remind me, where were you before working with us? 8 months, you said?
I think I was somewhere in the 6 month
Six
thing.
month?
Yeah. So the job came at 8 months. So I think I was about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks in with you. Is,
Hmm.
is
So
but
I
it was
do know,
5 or 6 weeks of the whole thing.
at what point, so it's been 6 months. I know this was very emotional for you, right?
Yes.
At what
Yes.
point did you say, like, hey, I need help? Because some people have different levels. Like some people need, when they know they need help, it's like, I need help. And some people are like, you're a triathlon, you've ran marathons and you're like, I got this. So it
Yeah.
probably just took a little longer for you to do that because of just your competitiveness and a drive and everything, right?
Yeah. Well, I tend to feel like I can be self-sufficient. I know how I have all these tools, but also I'm the person that's like, oh, if I have something and I know a doctor can fix it, I'm going. Like I'm gonna go right now. I'm not gonna wait and see if it resolves itself. Like I want results, right? I want a fix. So I actually reached out to a coach because I didn't even know where to start. I was like blindsided, all sorts of I should never
Well,
be in this
the other
position.
big thing too was
Yeah.
you come from this huge successful sales career, and then you said, I don't really want to be in sales anymore, right? It was kind of one of those
Right.
things where like I want to be on more of the account management side. And I remember right when we started working together, you were on your first couple sales interviews and they
Yeah.
paid well. I remember you were excited at Yelp. You're like, hey, it's 300K or whatever. But then you're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
I want to do
You
that at
know?
all. Right. And not worth the money, not worth the money if I don't like the
Mm-hmm.
job. That's what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I actually reached out to a coach like in the first month I was looking,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys are the fourth coaching program that I had gotten involved with. Two were like one person, and
Mm-hmm.
two were like programs with a bunch of people. One was huge. I literally was like, no, 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 those are not for me. I did hear about ECU through Christine
Mm-hmm.
Freeland LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that sounds good, but I was just getting out of this. I'd just been burned, kind of just
Yeah.
ick.
Well, 3 times, right? I mean,
Right, right, and I was thinking,
normally 3 times the charm, but you were like, this time it was the fourth, right?
yeah, yeah, and they all cost money, so there's some investment part, and I'm like, I feel like if I keep doing the same thing I'm doing, I'm never going to get anywhere. So I need to find a coach, but I need to find the right coach. And then
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine who's also an executive, she was like, hey, I don't know, you should check this out. And it was a note from Christine as well. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a
Got to do
sign.
it.
I'm just gonna sign up. And then I did the
Yeah.
hour
Yeah.
thing and then talked to an actual live human that same day. And I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta do it.
I
Like
just I
I
talked
just
to Luke like 2 days ago, and he was
oh
like so excited for you. He was like really fired up. So that brings me to my next question, right? What did you find most valuable? Some people say different stuff. They're like the one-on-ones, the group, the video, or whatever. And maybe
yeah.
what was missing from those other people, where what didn't click there that helped here, you know?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of things. I mean, maybe it should be really simple because it seemed to work fast, but there are actually a lot of things. I think the fact that it was like this is all business. There's no fluff. There's
Yeah.
no like how do you feel? I mean, if I was having a problem, I know you guys would handle that, but I can do that with my friends and family. Like I need to like
Like
make
when we're on the phone, like, hey, let's
yeah,
get through what we need to get through, and then hey, if you want to chat about some stuff, we can
yeah,
talk about how Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl or whatever,
right,
but that's not the
right.
main focus.
Exactly, right. It was just like, no, this is all business. Let's get because I could spend 30 minutes all business and still need more, right?
Yeah.
And then I think like the setting, I'm a real structure person, so I'd always
Hmm.
set a structure for myself, but this was just a greater structure and it made me feel much more productive each day. And then really the
Yeah.
scripting to kind of nail down exactly what I was going to say. And every interview became easier because I'm like, oh, it's kind of like the same thing every time. Thank you notes became easier. That was one of nemesis. I mean, I would spend 2 hours on one thank you note because it had to be so perfect, right?
Mhm.
And the script and just tweaking it slightly helped a lot. And then just feeling, I know a resume and a LinkedIn does not get you the job, it gets you in the door, but just feeling very confident about I have the right resume and the right LinkedIn content and it's branded me correctly. That gave me a lot more confidence knowing, okay, if something doesn't work, it's not my resume, it's
Yeah.
something else. And then just knowing that I could, lean on you guys for like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't know what to say here. I need more questions for the CEO. I don't
Mhm.
know, like just being able to bounce things off of you guys all the time instead of feeling so alone and hoping, gosh, I hope I'm doing this right. There's 500 things that could go wrong, and they were for 6 months. 6 months,
Mhm.
6.5 or whatever, and then it started to go really right.
Yeah. And I do
So
know you're like the success story of the month. You came in and you're right out the door 30 days later at Microsoft with I don't know what it ended up being. It was like something like a $50,000 increase from your last position, but we didn't talk about the RSUs and stuff. So I'm super in the
yeah,
account management client relationship, which is exactly where you want it to be. This is like
totally.
perfect.
Totally. And those roles, I mean, by nature, typically you earn less, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
big outside sales roles, you earn a ton because those jobs suck, right? So I thought, like, I'm not going to get there. I might not get there, and that's fine. It's fine if I don't get there as long as I'm earning enough, whatever. This ends up being 62,000 more in, base plus commission. The company is doing phenomenal. It's this one group is doing
Yeah.
phenomenally, growing like crazy. It's based on e-commerce, so they're hitting their goals. That's going to be
And
fine.
who would have
Then,
thought an account partnership role could pay $250,000?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. When you say 250,000, that sounds really big.
Yeah. Hey,
Uh,
last question. What advice would you have? Okay. Because we're on lots of calls with people, right? And they never believe it's going to happen for them. I'm pretty sure we had that same conversation, right?
yeah, we did.
What would you have say someone, hey, they're sitting right next to us, they're considering working with us, but they're just not sure. Coming from you, who specifically went through 3 other coaching things and it didn't work, what advice would you have for them working
Yeah.
with
And
us?
then I badgered Luke for it, or, over like
Yeah.
an hour twice. And then I told you when I first talked to you, like, this has to work. Like, I don't have any options. This has to
Yeah.
work. I would say, yeah, I'm one of those poster child for like worst case scenario, just totally down at this for so long. And believe me, I worked really, really hard at it.
Mhm.
Um, I would say I would tell somebody to just seriously dive in and like go through the checklist that you said. Like I just followed exactly your instruction. You said go through the
Those are the
checklist.
most successful people. It reminds me of Evelyn's testimonial. She has a PhD in leadership and development. Her testimonial, if you go rewatch it, it says, for the first 6 weeks, I just kind of joined and and then she says, the next 6 weeks, I actually did what I was supposed to do, which was following everything. And oh my God, it worked. And I'm like, yeah, that's why that's stuff for you guys.
Yeah. The checklist is actually it's spot on. It takes you, and I'm like a checklist person. So I have you guys saying like slow down, you'll understand when you get there. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'm gonna slow down. But I went through them as quickly as possible, but gave myself a little bit of grace to say, like, okay, I can be more calm about this, urgently calm because they've got me. Like they've got me. And even if I get 10 no's in a row now, they still have got me. Like I can't
Yeah,
fail. And you told
you
me
can't
that
fail.
several times. Um, and I believed it. And then I thought, well, because it's true, right? Like you never kick us out. So I
Well, and
thought,
until you get a job, and then I'm like, go to your new job and do great things. Yeah,
yeah,
I think we're one of the only coaching companies. I don't know of any that, work with you until you're hired, and I know that's an important thing too, because a lot of people are going to say, oh, you're going to get 60 days, 90 days. And then, oh, if I don't get a job, oh, well. And I'm like, hey, like, this is why we do this. Like, we
yeah,
want you to succeed. And I'm so glad you brought up something so powerful. When you finally realized, you're right, I can't fail because like I'm not going to quit. Because once you have that hint of that quitting mentality, and you're a triathlon person, you know how that is. You got to tell your mind to no, shush. You got to close that part of your mind and just keep pushing forward. So hey,
exactly.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I really thank you, but I really do. I'm so grateful to you guys for giving me like such good tools, structure, and honestly, the mental and emotional shift of joining this program. I mean, it really made a huge difference. Like just focusing on the checklist instead of focusing on when's it going to happen. That is a huge major shift, and that alone can be a game changer. So yeah.